Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. You can always visit our website, holybatcast.com, but you can also find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. You will also find us, if you choose, on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast if you really, really love the show and you want to show us how much you love it and help us keep the show rolling. You can do that on Patreon. You don't have to, but we do really, really appreciate every single one of you who has done that. It just makes our lives a lot easier to keep this show moving forward. So big thank you to all our patrons, as always. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you are looking for other shows to check out in your spare time, you can peruse those at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. Hi, and you can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova, ANDYDIGENOVA. Now, this episode is one of those potpourri episodes where we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a dash of this and a sprinkle of that. We're going to talk a little bit of news. We're going to finally get back to doing another episode review for Batman Beyond. And then the most important thing, the most productive thing we have to do is clean out the Wayne Manor mailbox because y'all are relentless. We love it, but you're relentless. It's like laundry. You think you finished it, and then it just piles right back up again. Joining me is my dear friend, my Bat brother, who has joined me for the past few episodes, and it's always good to have him back. It's our pal, our Bat brother from down under. It's Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
Oh, what happened to the cuddly koala?
You know, I switch it up week to week.
Okay. I feel like I've been getting the cuddly koala a lot lately. I thought that had sort of become my permanent moniker.
Yeah, you know, I keep you on your toes. You never know what you're going to get.
Actually, I know what my permanent moniker is, but...
Yes, but, you know, usually that comes later.
Yeah, it does. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm glad we can make this happen. And I should address the... well, he's not the elephant in the room. The large bald man in the room. Jamie Drewley. But yeah, in this case, not in the room. You're right. The big bald man, not in the room. So I want you guys to know, I keep trying to get Jamie back, but it is his birthday weekend. So happy birthday, big guy. So as you can imagine, you know, he has 3 children and a wife and a family, and so they're doing birthday festivities all weekend. And so I didn't want to take away from that. So he's celebrating his birthday this weekend, which is why he is not on the show. So a big happy birthday from us to Jamie out there in Indiana. We hope you are living it up. Here's to many more, my friend. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Our friend. His birthday is so yesterday for me.
That's true. It's old news as far as you're concerned. So
yeah.
Forget it. Who cares? And also, he's got his father is having some health issues, and so he's taking care of his dad, of course, which is great. So, you know, also we want to put out some positive vibes and some love and some energy to Papa Drewley. So we're glad that he's on the mend, and we're all thinking about you, Jamie, and your dad, and we hope that everything is getting a little bit better.
Yeah, here.
Before we get to the news, there is something else I wanted to address, and it was something that happened a few weeks ago, and I kept meaning to address it, and then just, you know, the way we've recorded these shows, it just didn't really work out that way. But a few weeks ago, we lost a member of our community, and it was something that I know you addressed on the Nightlight, and it was something I did want to at least address here on Holy BatCast. A few weeks ago, you know, one of the biggest Batman fans, superhero fans, Star Wars fans, just one of us, you know, one of our brothers in arms, his name was John Bierly, unexpectedly passed away. And I know it took us all by shock. And I at least wanted to give a little shout out to John, because if you knew John, or if you ever interacted with John, he was the sweetest, kindest fan that you could have ever hoped to have known or interacted with. What everybody said, and myself included, is he was the best of us. He was the fan that made us want to be better fans. He was the shining example of a fan who could love what he loved, but he always did it in the most positive and loving way possible. And so he was just a huge loss for everybody. And I can't pretend that I was super close with John. He was one of those people that I knew more like 1 degree away, because he was very close with our friend Sean Gerber and Chris Clow and Paul Herman and those guys. They were so tight with John, and I knew him through them. I'd been on 1 or 2 podcasts with John over the years, and he was one of those guys who I loved whenever he was on a podcast, because again, even if he had something,
yep, ditto.
Even if he had something negative to say, he said it with love, and it was just. I don't know if I don't even know how much he knew who I was, but I always knew who he was because I always listened to the shows he was on. He was one of the big contributors to Batman on Film. He did podcasts with our pal Robert Reinecke, so we all traveled in these same circles, and. What's crazy about John is, how when I answer the Wayne Manor mailbox, I try to thank everyone who writes in. I do that because of John. Because he used to always do that on Modern Myth Media with Sean.
Yeah, so polite.
And I always thought it was the sweetest thing to take the time to thank anyone who took the time to write them. And I thought it was just so damn sweet that I was like, you know what, I want to make sure I do the same. Like it reminded me to make sure I acknowledge that people cared enough to write us. And that's why I always try to thank the people who write us. I'm copying John Bierly, I'll admit it. And when he was so, again, positive and polite and just this huge heart, like whenever I would hear him talk, I'd always be like, God, like I need to be more like John. I need to not get brought down into the negativity, and I need to be more like John. So for someone, I don't know if I ever even registered to John, because we only interacted here and there infrequently, but for those of you who knew John, and I hope the people who knew John are listening, like he touched my life and he probably didn't even know it. He changed the way I podcast, and he probably had no idea. So Sean and Paul and Chris Clow and Justin Bolger, they did a really great kind of reunion episode of Modern Myth Media a week and a half, something like that, all in celebration of John's life, and it's wonderful.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's in the Marvel Studio news feed. That's because I couldn't find it at first either, because they have seen it. Yeah, they buried it in the Marvel feed, because I looked on the Modern Myth Media feed, which has been dormant for a long time now, and it wasn't there. And I was like, Sean, wait, I thought you guys did this thing. And he goes, oh yeah, it's in the Marvel news feed. So yes, they did a great tribute to John, and it was really awesome. It's totally worth listening to. Like, I loved hearing their stories about him, and then at the end, Sean picked a lot of great moments from John's podcasting over the years. And it's really just a wonderful tribute to a really wonderful guy. And it broke a lot of hearts to know that he left us. I mean, again, it was one of those things where when I saw it, I was like, wait, that can't be true. That doesn't seem right. No. And we all were shocked by it. But he was truly, again, the best of us. He made us all want to be better. And so wherever he is, I hope he knows how many lives he touched, thousands of lives, and that we're all a little better for whether he was a mainstay in our lives or whether he touched us and didn't even know our names. He really just made us better.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, like, all the way from here in Australia, like I've said many times, like the first ever podcast I listened to like 12 years ago, whatever it was Batman on Film. And John was part of it. And then obviously I transitioned to Modern Myth Media, and he was a huge part of that in the early days. And if you remember, even last year when you, Sean, and I podcasted about Robert Pattinson's casting, that was the first time I'd actually been on a show with Sean after listening to him for over a decade.
Oh,
and one of the first things I asked was, when we started recording, before we started recording, when we were just chatting, one of the first things I said was, "How's John? Like, what's he doing these days?" Because I don't hear him anymore. And Sean was telling me because he had a Star Wars show, didn't he? Because I mean that's not my thing, so I wasn't aware of it and everything. But it was one of the first questions I asked because I loved hearing him on Modern Myth Media, and it was his gentle and sweet nature and his politeness and his well-mannered nature. He was such a sweetheart to listen to. And like I always remember too, when they used to have the Modern Myth Media movie awards, whatever that, annually, they had the, I can't remember what it was, I'm paraphrasing, but they had the, like an award in his name. It was like the John Bierly.
Yes. It was the
politeness or
right.
Like
yep. Act of kindness award or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And that always used to make me laugh. And I loved listening to John for many, many years. And again, I'd never met the guy. I'd never been on a podcast with the guy, but that's the thing about podcasting. And I always think of that meme that you see go around once a year or so of the, the young kid sitting on the floor in front of that photo of all the kids eating ice cream and he's eating ice cream. It's like, what it's like listening to a podcast. And it's funny, but it's funny because it's true. That is what it's like listening to a podcast, particularly when you've been listening to one for so long. Like you feel like these people, they're part of your, if not everyday lives, you check in with them once a week usually. And you do feel like you have an attachment and you know them. And that's what it was like when I heard about John as well. It was just like, oh my God, like I felt like I'd lost someone close to me, even though I had never spoken to the man in my life. He was a huge part of my life for many, many years. And it's very sad. And I guess I did say this on the Nightlight, and I don't have the details in front of me, but I will just say, if you're ever feeling like you need to talk to someone, and if you ever feel like there isn't anyone to listen to you, I guarantee you there is. You just need to reach out. You're never ever alone. Just pick up the phone and talk to someone, anyone, and they might be able to lend a different perspective on whatever you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I echo everything that you said. I felt the same way when we got the news, because again, he was someone who I'd listened to for years, and again, I was lucky enough to talk to him a handful of times over the years, but it was just one of those like, oh really, like, oh my God, like it felt like losing a friend for those of us who didn't even get to know him that well. And so it was really a shock, but again, like the amount of positivity he's brought to people's lives and the amount of lives he's touched is, I think, a pretty wonderful testament to him and who he is and who he was and his heart. His kindness just radiated warmth, and I think that we all wanted to bask in that warmth a little bit, which is why we listened to him when he talked.
Definitely. And I've literally, as you've been talking, I just found that episode and downloaded it. I really need to listen to that. I'm glad you mentioned it because I had no idea that they'd done that. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, because I want to give John a little time, because he did, seem like just such a special soul. But nobody knew him better than those guys. And so I think that, listening to that is absolutely worth your time. Just the celebration of who John was and how he, he just touched everyone he came in contact with.
It's funny, like even Jess, who doesn't listen to these shows, like Jess is my wife for the people who don't know, but she's overheard. She can't avoid overhearing some of these shows, for the 12 years we've been together. And the day it happened, I was like, you won't remember the name, but do you remember John from, Holy BatCast and Modern Myth Media? The really, really polite. She was, the one who was always thanking people, like the really sweet guy. I'm like, yeah. Like even she knew who he was because of his personality. He just, he stood out from the crowd.
Absolutely. So anyway, please go check out that episode. And again, dig up some old podcasts with John. He he was, again, such a special human being, and he won't be forgotten. So we love you, John. Just know that we're thinking of you, and you will live on in the hearts and memories of a lot of people that you knew, and maybe even more that you didn't even know.
Hundreds, easily.
So I know it's kind of weird to jump from that into like a more normal episode, but I wanted to give a little bit of time because he did feel like so much of just part of the overall Batman fan community, which is great. And before I completely move on, his something that always made me laugh, and I forgot it was him until I listened to that episode that Sean put out, is he did this impression of Jim Gordon at the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
I remember that.
And I couldn't, and honestly, I'm shocked that it was John, because again, he's so nice, like he doesn't have a mean bone in his body, but he used to like do this thing where once, there's the scene where when Batman goes, a hero can be anyone, even someone who puts a jacket around somebody's legs. It's a great attempted moment, but I think it's still stilted in its execution. But a hero could be anyone, even a man who puts a jacket around a little boy's shoulders to show that the world hasn't had, that whole thing. And then as he flies away, Gordon looks up and goes, "Bruce Wayne?" But John would always go, "Bruce Wayne?"
The one that always jumps to my mind is when they reviewed the first. I can't remember if it was the first or the second. Remember the really kick-ass Man of Steel trailer?
Yeah.
Where we sort of first got to hear the music and that one. They did a review of that on Modern Myth Media, and I'm sure it was John. Again, I need to, because I haven't listened to it in years. But it was him who was like, remember that time we saw Superman punch freaking laser beams? Like, he was so pumped. And that for some reason jumps into my mind as well. I hope to God it was him, but I'm sure it was. But yeah, that's another memory that I've got just from that sort of time period of those shows too.
Right.
Yeah, I loved that show. It was so cool.
Yeah. So, all right, there you go. We'll move forward, but yeah, we're thinking of John and all the people who he leaves behind, who are, still missing him and wrestling with that. And just know that we love you guys and we love John too.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So first thing, we got a little news to talk about before we get into some other stuff. The first thing is more comics based. And this is a weird one. This one sort of came out of nowhere today. As of this recording, it came out today, but you're probably going to hear it a few days later. And that is DC mainstay and co-publisher Dan Didio has left DC Comics. So he's been the co-publisher of DC since 2010, and today they announced he is leaving. We don't know if he quit. We don't know if he was asked to leave. We have no idea. There's no details as to why he is leaving, but it's a little bit shocking, because he has been such a huge driving force behind DC for so many years now. And, we can't discount that. I've always liked him well enough, although I'm a little sad that he also infamously hates Nightwing, which I don't understand. So I think it was, what was the story where they killed Nightwing, or they were about to kill Nightwing? It was right before he became Grayson.
I can't remember.
I can't either. It's so fuzzy. But yeah, they were like, oh, they're going to kill Nightwing.
I'd stopped reading at that stage, yeah.
And I was like, they can't kill Nightwing. And then that was when I learned, Dan Didio's been trying to kill Nightwing for years. And I'm like, why? Why would you want to kill Nightwing? He just doesn't like him. So, anyway, that's my little petty reason that Dan Didio isn't my favorite, is because obviously I like Nightwing, and I don't know why if you're a DC Comics creative mastermind, why would you not like Nightwing? But
Nightwing's awesome.
That aside, again, he had written so many different DC titles over the years: Superboy, Phantom Stranger, Outsiders, Metal Men. He's just a huge driving force behind what DC Comics has done over the past decade. So it is a little sad to see him go, and it'll be interesting to find out why.
Yeah, I had no idea until just before we hit the record button. You were like, I want to mention this, and Dan Didio leaving DC. I was like, what? What? I had no idea. And because I'd been
Bruce
busy this morning
Wayne?
It only broke a couple of hours ago. See, I was completely in the dark on it. It took me by surprise.
Huh. So yeah, and so now Jim Lee is the remaining DC publisher. So yeah, it's surprising. He seems like one of those guys who would be there till he retires, but who knows?
Well, there you go.
Maybe Marvel made him an offer. We'll see. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Something else that I thought was worth a mention, without getting too deep into it, is that Ben Affleck has a new movie coming out, The Way Back. And I just came from the movies, and it was the first time I saw the trailer for The Way Back. And honestly, I think it looks pretty darn good. Have you seen the trailer?
I haven't. No, I've seen the trailer for the one that... Did it drop today or yesterday on Netflix? The one... Oh, shit, I can't remember what it's called, who's in it. But there's a new one on Netflix that I saw that was coming out. And I think it may be out now, but I haven't seen the trailer for The Way Back, no.
Okay, well, so you know what it feels like, and I mean this as the best possible compliment, that is, it feels almost like Hoosiers, which is my favorite sports movie of all time, and one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, it's about this down on his luck guy who gets a chance to sort of redeem himself by coaching a high school basketball team, which is in broad strokes what Hoosiers is about. But I saw the trailer and it was great, and it's Gavin O'Connor, who he worked with Ben on The Accountant. So good director. We know I like Ben, so I'm looking forward to the movie. But because he's got this movie coming out in the next couple of weeks, he is out there doing the press, and so he did a very big interview with the New York Times. And so, of course, here's the thing that makes me sad about poor Ben Affleck. That dude's going to be answering questions about Batman until he dies. Mm-hmm. Like no, this poor guy, he's out there talking about this new movie, and everybody wants to talk about Batman. And it's going to happen forever. I mean, look at Michael Keaton. They still ask him about Batman. So anyway, of course, the conversation turned to Batman at a certain point. And so he talked a little bit, he talked a lot about like the struggles he had with alcohol and with his marriage. And so he said this, he said, I drank relatively normally for a long time. What happened was I started drinking more and more when my marriage was falling apart. This was in 2015, 2016. My drinking, of course, created more marital problems. And he calls his divorce the biggest regret of his life. So in 2015, 2016 is while he is like in the thick of it with Batman versus Superman and then straight into Justice League. And then he admitted that the troubled shoot of Justice League had sapped his interest in being Batman. And he was still willing to try to do the solo film, but he said that he showed a friend the script, and the friend told him, the friend is unnamed, so who knows who it was. It says, I think the script is good, but I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. So he was, we know he had a lot on his plate at that time, personally and professionally. He was dealing with a lot, and we've said now for years that the best thing for his mental health and his, physical health too, was to step away and refocus and get better. And so that's what he did, and that's why he stepped away from Batman. So, but just to hear it a little more candidly from his own mouth, I think was interesting. And then everybody, did share this story. So, Brendan, what do you think?
I mean, whenever it comes to Affleck, I always feel a tinge of sadness, as I'm sure most of us do, because it's kind of like Brendan Routh as Superman. He was really, really well cast, but never really had the opportunity or material to... Well, I say that more aimed at Justice League than BVS, but never really had the chance to show their best performance in the cape. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what, and I've been banging on about this for years, like, no matter what happens in the future, no matter what people think about Ben Affleck's Batman, we will always have the Martha rescue. All the heartache that's come after that and him leaving and everything. If I could swap all that and, just for the Martha rescue, I would, because it's just the best live action Batman scene ever. put to film. You know, it's just disappointing that he was going through those personal things, but B, that he felt continuing in the role was only going to make those personal problems worse, which is disappointing. But I will just quickly say too that the Netflix movie I was talking about, it's called The Last Thing He Wanted, and I just quickly checked it on IMDb. There's the main cast members have got some major DC credentials. So it's Rosie Perez, Ben Affleck, Anne Hathaway, and Willem Dafoe.
All right.
So
I do remember seeing. Yeah, I didn't see the movie, but I vaguely remember like hearing about it.
Yeah, it only dropped on Netflix, so I'm sure it was this weekend. So yeah, but like the main cast are like all DC alums. So for no other reason, check it out for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it breaks my heart that like all of this was happening while Ben was being Batman. And I distinctly remember early on, before Batman vs. Superman was released, I was told by someone on the inside, oh, Ben is all in on being Batman. He is so excited. And it is so heartbreaking that the reception to Batman vs. Superman, you know, coupled with the studio meddling, coupled with his personal struggles, coupled with his, you know, the dissolution of his marriage, all of these things just piled on and not only soured his experience of getting to be Batman, but just made his life a living hell. And that's a bummer. I'm glad that he made the decision he made for himself, because at the end of the day, they're just movies. And I'm glad that he did what he had to do to be as healthy and happy as he can be. I'm glad he is on the upswing. I'm glad he seems to be in a better place. That's, to me, what matters. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people being like, oh, he still wanted to do it, but damn you, WB. Well, you know what? Guess what? The ship has sailed. Let him do what he wants to do. I'm glad he's doing better. We've already moved on, you know? So, like, it's nice. Again, it's interesting to hear it a little more candidly. It is a shame that things went so bad. But from one human to another, I'm just glad that he is doing better. You know, Batman will live on, but I want to make sure Ben Affleck lives on.
Correct. And, you know, mental health is a very important thing.
Yeah. So, there you have that. Moving forward, today was a big day.
Yeah, I remember yesterday when you messaged me. It's like, oh, I want to talk about some news and we'll cover this and we'll, you know, do some Wayne Manor mailbox. I was like, well, I hope there is some news, because I couldn't think of anything to cover. And then I woke up this morning, and I messaged you. I was like, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. So The Batman, Matt Reeves's new Batman film starring Robert Pattinson, etc., is now shooting in earnest, and it's shooting in Glasgow, Scotland. And so over the past few days, a lot of set photos have been coming out. You know, people nearby. Most of it has been like location based, being like, oh, this building is probably going to be this building, or oh, this is their trailers, or oh, here's a truck that says Gotham on it, like stuff like that. Nothing particularly spoilery, but like it's starting to come out there because, of course, it is. It's a new Batman movie. And then today, it was funny because that was starting to happen, and I was starting to get a little frustrated just as a fan. I'm one of those people like, listen,
I saw the tweets.
Yeah, you know, like. I know locations aren't spoilers, you know, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't need to know all this stuff yet. Like, let me enjoy the ride. Like, let's not jump to the end. It reminds me, this is totally random, but go with me on this journey. In 1998, they were making the Godzilla movie, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you remember, they did not reveal how Godzilla looked until people saw the movie. Wasn't in the trailers, wasn't in the posters, it wasn't anywhere, it wasn't even in the toys. Toys didn't get released until that weekend. You could not find out how Godzilla looked until opening night. And leading up to the release of that movie, people kept trying to find out what Godzilla looked like. And I think it was Dean Devlin, who is the producer of the film, who said in an interview, he went, you know what? He goes, I feel like I'm trying to tell a joke and people keep jumping to the punchline. And I'm like, no. Let me get to the punchline. Don't jump there. It will get there, but you're jumping ahead. Let me tell the joke first. And that's what I feel like is happening with the Batman. Is like, let Matt Reeves tell the joke. We're going to see everything when the time is right. Let's not jump ahead. So that's kind of, that was where my frustration was coming from, where it's like every little thing is already coming out there. And some of the stuff is exciting and some of the stuff is encouraging and great. And, I can't help but see it because on Twitter, I pretty much follow other DC fans and people can't help themselves. They share everything. And so I would have to like mute or block or hide or unfollow so many people. And I feel bad doing that. So like I can't really avoid it, but at the same time I'm like, guys, like just let's just enjoy the ride. You know what? Like let me see what that's going to look like once I see the movie or once I see the trailer or whatever. So I was already a little frustrated by it. And then today the dam broke. It wasn't I tweet at whatever time it was. I tweet, "Hey guys, let's try to stop sharing set photos. Let's try." 1 hour later. 1 hour to the minute, I will have you know.
You felt it in your waters.
Yeah, we got the most revealing set photos. And so I haven't shared it on any Holy BatCast, but if you are the slightest fan of Batman, you've seen it. It was inescapable today. We saw the Batman stunt double in full costume riding a motorcycle through a graveyard. So I don't think that's spoilery because, again, you've seen it. Every news outlet has run it, even though they were, spy pics or set photos. Like, these were not officially released, but Variety freaking ran it. So you're not going to see those.
You Batman.
You're not going to see those photos on my feed, but I also feel like I can't ignore them and not discuss them. If that's fair.
Yeah, I don't ever post set pics either, but these were just everywhere. So on like the Nightlights Facebook page, I put up like a spoiler thing saying, look, these photos are out there. They're everywhere. I'm keen to hear what people think about it. So that then I posted the photos in the comments. So it gave people the opportunity, if they didn't want to see them, to not have to see them.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm going to sound like a parent, but I was so disappointed by how many people were so quick to reshare them just so they could try to get some of that internet traffic or get some of that Twitter cred. I was just disappointed. I was like, oh, come on. But
they're everywhere.
Yeah, they were everywhere. Fortunately, again, is it spoilery? I don't know. We finally get a full look at mostly the suit. But there are a lot of caveats to this, which is why, again, I really wish this wasn't out there because it's not the best, I think, look of what Batman is going to look like. But it is out there. You can't escape it. But I will say this as a positive. I've got some silver linings here. First is I was really hoping that Warner Brothers would go, oh shit, and then they would immediately release something official.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking is okay, so literally a week ago, we were recording about getting that first tease. And I was thinking before, I do wonder if between then and now, if they'd actually released more officially and given us a proper official photo of the suit, of him in the suit, if these would be spreading like wildfire like they are, because it is literally the first look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if the tease from last week had have been more revealing, these probably wouldn't be spreading like wildfire. I do feel in some ways it's a little bit of a misstep.
Oh, totally.
From
Totally, because now everybody's
judging.
everyone's judging these photos right or wrong. And you can't stop them from doing it.
Because if you remember back to 2011, you know, when they knew they were going to be shooting outdoors with Catwoman on the Bat Pod, it was literally the day before, or even earlier that day, we got the first official photo. And it was a photo of her on the Bat Pod, so it showed the costume in that context, you know. So, but we had the official look. And, I mean, I do remember obviously seeing the set stuff, but it wasn't as rampant as what these photos have been in the last, 10 hours?
Yeah. And I thought exactly the same thing. This is the same exact situation, except in that situation, they were ahead of it. So they released they released the first official look of Anne Hathaway as Catwoman on the Bat Pod because they knew the next day Anne Hathaway's stunt double was going to be driving around on the Bat Pod. So they're like, let's just show you that. So if today they had released a photo of Robert Pattinson in costume on a motorcycle, or yesterday they did that, then that's the one that would have caught fire. And then today, all the set photos, everyone would go, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it. They're shooting that." And it's not it's not like the set photos wouldn't have gotten traction, but it would not have gotten the traction of the official one that they could have released early.
No, and I was thinking too, like this time last week with that tease, I kept saying, you know, I'm reserving judgment. I just want to see more. A week later, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, I just want to see less because I don't want to see it like this.
Right, exactly. And that's what it is if you go back to 2 episodes ago where we talked about that first look, you know, I didn't love it, but I was like, well, hopefully once I see it all, once I can take 2 steps back and see it all together, it'll work better for me. But this is not what I meant.
No.
You know, like, again, if it had been a full body shot of Pattinson in the real costume, not the stunt version, but the real camera ready costume, I think I would have a better idea of how I felt about it, because now I'm going, well, you know, it kind of looks better because I am seeing a little bit more of it, but it also looks a little wonky because it's built for action. It's built to be driving on a motorcycle. You know, I don't know how much is going to be obscured or how much is going to be changed in post. Like, is this just for wide shots? Like, I don't know.
Potential CG and stuff.
Yeah, like, I don't know. And so, yes, now we're getting a better look at it, but it's not it still is going to come with a bunch of caveats, you know? So getting into it, do I like it any better? Not really. It's okay. And that's really how I feel about it. I'm like, based on the first look that we got, and then now these photos of the stunt double in the suit, I think it's fine. I don't love it, but I think it's fine. I wish I loved it. But maybe when we see it on camera, in motion, lit theatrically, not on a cell phone camera, maybe it's going to look cooler.
I was probably a little bit more positive than you were last week, based on that tease that we got. I've actually had to step back a bit. Hey, again, I know all the caveats that you've spoken about, but I can only make judgments based on what we've seen. Yeah. And this is what we've seen. And I don't like it. I don't like the cowl/helmet. I don't like the ears. I don't know what those weird gauntlet things are. That it kind of feels like a mashup of Gotham by Gaslight, a little bit of not Year One. What's the Prestige format series that they do? Earth One. Sorry, yeah, Earth One. The gauntlets and a few of the plates and stuff kind of make me think of Batman Ninja as well. And we all know how I felt about that one.
It's your favorite one.
Yeah, I don't really like it. It looks weird to me. And like I said in our messages this morning with you, me, Jamie, and Jeremy, like, if this was following the Nolan trilogy, I'd probably be a little bit more open to it, but following what we've just had so recently, which I know everybody's has said these words, like the most forgetting about what you feel about Affleck's performance or those movies, just the costume itself, it is the most comic accurate costume we've ever had. And this feels like 10 steps back. And I mean, even just the fact that it's gone back to all black, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that we're back at the black. But again, I want to see less, meaning I don't want to see these spy pics. I want to see official stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess I can sort of say what I said last week, which is I don't know, but I want to see more. But yeah, I don't want to see more,
like this.
From this method. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think that we did talk a little bit about that privately, is, do you know what this feels like? You know the meme that's like, hey, can I copy your homework? But sure, just don't make it too obvious. This feels like Matt Reeves is copying Christopher Nolan's homework. At least as far as the Batsuit goes. It's like they wanted to do another Dark Knight, but they were like, oh, but we got to change a couple things so we don't look like we're copying. Because it's the same basic aesthetic, but just with some tweaks here and there. And you're right, like, listen, again, like I haven't hated most of the Batsuits. Like, you know, like they're all fine. But you're right, like there had been these rumors that we were going to get this very comic book accurate one, and we had gotten so close with Affleck's costume, which is amazing. This feels like, to you, what you just said, it feels like 2 steps back, where they were like, okay, we had that, now let's get back to the black armor that we had with Nolan. And that's just disappointing. You know, it's fine. It still looks like Batman. It's fine. I don't hate it, sure. But it doesn't get me going, oh, yeah, we're really in for something new and fresh. It makes me go, oh, okay, we're this again.
Yeah. The bike looks kind of cool.
I like the bike. The bike is really cool. I dig it. Jamie and I talked about the bike a little bit too, and I go, I like the bike. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, I don't even think it's as interesting as the Bat Pod. And I go, okay, you're right. Like, in the plus column, I'll say what I like is that it's legit a Batcycle. But
which we've never had before.
Which you're right. In a movie, we've never really had that. But on the downside, yeah, the Bat Pod was a little more one of a kind. This feels a little more generic than that. So
yeah, I kind of feel that comic book thing, like I was hoping for, again, I mean, I know we could be jumping to major conclusions here, based on some set photos, and I've been saying for a long time, and so have you, like, we really want that comic book feel. Not even just the aesthetic, but like the world. We want that Batman world, like kind of the animated series version of the character brought to life. And this feels like we're going again for that very real world.
Yes. We
get to see how the sausage is made type Batman. And that's not what we've had that, and we had a really good version of it. And I hope it's not WB going, look, we tried the comic book thing and it didn't work. We need another Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fear too. Is it feels a lot like go back to Nolan. You're not Nolan, but please do what Nolan did. And so what's happening to me right now is, yeah, we had heard these rumors, and a lot of the rumors, you know, they were baseless. That's fine. That's the way it goes. But the rumors allowed me to get my hopes up. It allowed me to think that maybe we were going to get a more comic booky aesthetic, and not Schumacher, but just something, you know, like what I think a lot of fans have been asking for a long time is a live action version of Batman the Animated Series, something like that. And I allowed myself to get my hopes up that that's what maybe was in store for us. And now that we have seen this, and we have seen, you know, that first look that Matt Reeves, I don't think that's what we are getting. And so my brain and my expectations have to do a GPS, and they're recalculating right now. My expectations are recalculating. I'm sure I'm still going to be psyched for the movie. And you know what? Maybe like when I see it, it's going to blow me away and it's going to be the best Batman movie ever. That's certainly possible. But I'd gotten my hopes up for something more comic booky. It doesn't look like that's what we're getting. And so I just have to get used to what we are getting, whatever that might be.
I wasn't into the Batman fandom. It was sort of on my off years when Batman Begins was being made. So I didn't get to see the internet's reaction to like those first shots of the Tumblr, where it was just like in the paddock at night. It kind of looked like a tractor.
Yeah.
Like I do wonder if this could be similar, where people are like, oh, geez, I don't know. Like I can see it kind of looks like a Batmobile, but it's just something we've never seen before. It looks odd. Like that's the thing to me. It looks odd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
particularly the cowl.
The cowl I'm a little less concerned about because this cowl looks like it's built to be flexible for stunts. So I think so like because you're right, like it looks a little squishy.
Yeah, it's just like the ears. Like I don't like the
But to your point, when Batman Begins, we got that first reveal. I think the very first thing we ever saw from Batman Begins was the Tumblr. I think that was the very first official reveal was of the car. It was before social media, so I couldn't see anyone's reaction because I didn't care. I didn't care enough to go to message boards. So I didn't see reactions. All I had was my reaction. But when I saw it, I just went, wow, that's weird. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I just went, wow, that's weird. And that's sort of where I was with Batman Begins until I saw the movie, and it did blow me away. And I went, oh my God, best Batman movie. So I'm hoping the same will happen here. But yeah, it's just a shame that the peaks that we are getting don't have me fist pumping. And I'm a little confused by the fans who saw these pictures and went, oh my God, it's perfect. I was like, really? Perfect? Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure? So yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing. Here's another plus that I will give, is a big plus is that what I love is that, okay, these were crappy cell phone photos. They were pretty close up, as someone pointed out, is like, like they weren't from super far away. So whoever was taking them was in there somewhere. But because they were everywhere, and I mean everywhere, what I like about that is it shows that even some crappy set photos of Batman can break the internet.
Yeah,
and
it also shows people's creativity, because I've seen those set photos doctored and photoshopped like crazy, and they look kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I love that these photos did become an event today, because it still shows the excitement around this movie. It shows the excitement around Batman. Like I love that. I love that everybody's like, oh my God, like it's our first new look at Batman. Whether you like it or you don't like it, I just love that there is still that passion around the character. So I think that was neat too. Again, I think this could have been handled much better. And again, once I see it, something official, I'm just hoping it's going to look a little better. So I'm not jumping to conclusions, but yeah, as you said, I can only judge what I've seen. And of the two things I've seen, I don't love the suit. I think it's fine. It'll be fine. I just don't love it. It's just, again, it just feels like, what if no one made a fourth suit? What would it look like?
I mean, again, this could just be for the stunts. I don't know, but it looks like the guy's wearing like regular pants, like army style pants. Like they don't look armored or like sort of like, I don't want to say black rubber, but it doesn't look like it's that kind of suit. It looks like it's regular pants.
Yeah. Well, and he has to straddle a bike, so maybe that's why. It's just to give him more range of movement, so he can do that, so he can ride the bike.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not abnormal. We've seen that before, is like the they only wear the costume of what the camera needs to pick up, and around, the legs are just, because they're going to blend in with the bike, it doesn't really matter.
Have you seen the little video?
Yes.
that ending. I don't know about that. That didn't look like it was supposed to happen.
Yeah. I'll also say this, just because I know other people will message me about it, is, there does seem to be some influence of 0 Year, which is a big Riddler story that Scott Snyder did a few years ago. So I can see that as well. It's not a 1-to-1, but, in 0 Year, Bruce was in sort of
that's one of the three I mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, a pared down functional version without the cape on the bike. So I can definitely see that. And then, yeah, as you said, in these gauntlets, it looks like he almost has like darts or arrows in his gauntlets, which I think also evokes 0 Year. How much this is actually going to borrow from 0 Year, I don't know. But 0 Year was a Riddler story, so it wouldn't shock me if there was more of that in here.
Yeah, I need to reread that, actually. It's been a little while, but
this might be a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that down as a possible
refresher.
episode, because we could do that.
That's actually true. I love their take of Bullock in that, but anyway, we can come to that another time.
Yeah. So anyway, this is what we have as of this recording is these photos. Oh, the other thing is that apparently WB was like aggressively trying to get everyone to take them down.
Good luck.
But yeah, like, it's too late. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out there.
Learn your lesson, guys. Like,
Yeah.
You should have released an official photo. This wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, so please, I hope that they're working late tonight, getting the official photo ready for tomorrow. Or maybe they're just like, is what it is. It'll happen when it'll happen. Because, I mean, this isn't Pattinson, so maybe they haven't even gotten photos of Pattinson in the scene yet, so they didn't have anything to release.
But I mean, I'm sure they've got like
They've got
just a
some
decent photo.
They've
of him
got
in the
some
suit
photo of
that you
him.
can Photoshop or something to like put him in a fake background. Just put him in a black background. I don't care. But like, yeah, there needed to be some sort of quote unquote official photo. It doesn't even need to be him on a bike. Just an official photo that fans can go nuts over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I was at lunch with Catherine, and she's like, "You're really distracted. What's going on?" And I'm like, we just kind of sort of got our first real good look of the new Batman. She's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, yeah, because your phone's blowing up." I'm like, I know. What I also love this is that I literally tweet out, "Hey guys, let's stop sharing set photos," and then an hour later this happens and I go, "Oh, it's almost like I knew," and then what happens?
The internet just went, F you.
Yeah, and then what happens? People start sending it to me directly through Twitter, and I'm like, "Did you not read what I just said?" I mean, I know I can't avoid it, but like, yes, I've seen it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
that's one of the downsides. Like, I know, but because you're known as like the Batman guy.
Yeah.
Whenever anything happens, people automatically think of you, which is lovely.
Which exactly, that's true.
You get sent the same like 5 memes like 30 times a year from like random people who you went to high school with or are friends with your wife. Oh, Brendan likes Batman. I'll send him this. It's like, yeah, thank you. I've seen the no Batman, like the Bat fan meme like 1 billion times. Stop sharing it to me.
Yeah.
Like, on one hand I'm touched, on the other hand it's like, will you just off?
Yeah, I always like when people are like, "Oh, you love Batman?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, did you see the one with Ben Affleck?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see it. I'm a huge Batman fan, and I didn't see it." Oh, but again, like, yeah, they're trying to relate, and I get it, and it's sweet. So anyway,
it's lovely. Yeah.
That's where we are with our second look at our new Batman. A more of the entire body, but still not what I would call a 100% accurate one, because it's not Robert Pattinson. It is a stunt suit.
It's not even Richard Citrone, which...
No. But Philip Barker goes, "Hey, in some of those photos, doesn't it look like Ben Affleck?" I'm like, "Yeah, the chin has some Affleck energy to it, but it's definitely not."
Imagine if this was the biggest, like, prank of all time, where like WB was actually working with Affleck, and like the patterns and things, just like a whole bullshit thing to like throw you off the scent, but they're actually making a movie with Affleck.
Dude, don't say that. You're gonna start bad rumors.
It's not as if that would ever happen. I'm just saying that it'd be like the biggest misdirect of all time.
Right. So, anyway, I guess before we completely move on, I will say one other thing, because I did talk to Sean and Robert about this. Of course, I had like multiple conversations going about this suit. Is one thing that is a little discouraging is the suit. What we saw in the first look, what we're seeing here, it does look like a first Batman suit. It does look like a cobbled together, early career Batman suit. And so I'm just getting a little too much Batman Begins from it. And that, again, we all kept saying, oh, we want Batman in his prime. We want Batman who's right in the middle of it. And I'm just getting this impression from what we're seeing, especially of the suit, because it does look so cobbled together of like, oh, no, we're going to get rookie Batman again.
I mean, the other possibility too, and this is, again, this is just me thinking out loud. I mean, this could even be a non-linear story. We don't know. Like, there could be flashbacks. Like a Mask of the Phantasm style thing where it might show a period of time where he was starting out. It's not even me being wishful thinking. I'm just saying anything's possible. We know nothing about this movie other than the actors that are in it and the characters they're playing. We know nothing. So, I mean, there could be flashbacks. Who knows?
Yeah, but I do think that's heavy on the wishful thinking. Because it goes back to what I said on the first look episode where I went, Matt Reeves chose to share this costume.
True.
That means it's the costume. It's not like, oh yeah, for a couple flashback scenes, this is his old janky costume and he's going to have a really much better one for the rest of the movie. No, there was a reason Matt Reeves chose to share this one.
Here's a hypothetical for you. Say you've been cast to play Batman. All the stuff that's happened previously with Affleck and all that kind of stuff, everything is the same, but you have been cast as an unknown to play Batman, and for your first costume test or whatever, this is the costume they present you with. What do you say?
I mean, I'd be so grateful for the job that I probably would just suck it up and deal with it. But I could do like the passive aggressive thing of being like, oh gosh, I hope this isn't the finished one, right?
And that was the last time Andy ever played Batman.
Yeah. And then they're like, actually it is. And the costume designer's crying in the corner now, thanks to you. So, yeah, I know. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And we've spent how long talking about set photos?
Right. Well, we will continue seeing more, whether we want to or not. I just hope that, as we discussed, that WB is a little better about sharing stuff officially. I'd much rather talk about and share official things than this stuff. So
cannot agree.
Yep. The Batman keeps shooting, and we will see how that goes. Let me say one other thing before we move on. Sorry, just because I thought of it. Remember on the first look episode I said how like I really wanted this movie to be, it's Batman and his rogues gallery right off the page. And now I feel like, no, it's going to be another take. It's going to be another new take on Batman, and that's a little disappointing. Obviously, I feel like the suit supports that, but looking back at the looking back at the confirmations that Matt Reeves tweeted out, and the fact that he called the Riddler Edward Nashton, and he called the Penguin Oz instead of Oswald Cobblepot or even Oswald. I feel like those are also clues that, he doesn't want to do Edward Nygma. He wants to do Edward Nashton. He doesn't want to do Oswald Cobblepot. He's doing Oz. I don't know. It's starting to come together in that, no, we're getting another sort of Elseworlds version of Batman.
Yeah, or if it is from the page, it's going to be mishmash and also like obscure things that, you know, people like us know, like Earth One and stuff like that, but your average Joe in the street won't have a clue what that is.
Yeah. All right, well, more as it develops. But we thought we were going to get back into Batman Beyond, so we watched another episode. So, are you ready, Brendan? Are you ready to join the Joyride?
I'm ready to join the Joyride. Hello, you fool.
Hello, you fool. I love you. That's the best jam, by the way. It is a jam.
Oh,
Okay.
that is... Look, Roxanne have a lot of jams, but that is easily their best.
Oh, it's so good. So, without further ado, why don't we jump into the next episode of Batman Beyond? And as we already teased you, the next episode up is Joyride. Come on, join the Joyride. This one aired on October 2nd of 1999. Joyride, it's interesting because it's like it's an episode that all takes place in like one evening.
Yeah.
So what happens is like there's this like government...
Almost in real time.
Almost, yeah, you're right. Almost in real time, where there's like this government ship that's being tested by these two scientists. At the same time, the gang of the Jokers are like initiating a new member, and so there's a problem with the ship that's being tested. They land it, they evacuate, and the Jokers steal the ship. And therefore take it on a joyride around Gotham because they realize that this ship is fast, it's powerful, it's got firepower, and so the Jokers take it and start wreaking havoc on Gotham in this ship. Batman is trying to stop them first using the Batmobile, but that ends up getting damaged. Then by himself, and then eventually he teams up with one of the scientists who is trying to get this ship back because the ship is dangerous. The nuclear reactor that powers the ship is going to overheat and essentially blow up half of Gotham. And so she and Batman team up to stop this ship and get the reactor shut down before it gets dangerous. So as this goes on, the Jokers, they use this ship to attack a rival gang called the Tees, right? The Tees?
Yeah, it was, because they actually kind of look like Mr. Terrifics with their
They
way
do.
their
Yeah, they totally
faces
do.
are.
And then at the end there, the new Joker they were going to initiate, he sort of sees the error in his ways. He realizes through this whole episode that these guys are not someone he wants to be associated with. So he saves Batman. Batman shuts down the reactor, and the city is saved. So Joyride, what are your thoughts on this one, Brendan?
This one I didn't like as much as the last couple we've seen. I mean, it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of felt a bit more middle of the road again. I was intrigued though with the voice cast because obviously Wendy Malick is in this episode.
And you know what's so funny is from the moment she spoke, I went, "Oh my God, Wendy Malick!"
Yeah, like it's so
her
obviously
voice is
her.
so distinctive. Yeah.
One of the pilots is Kevin Michael Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the pilot at the start because his voice is so obvious. Is it just me, or was the other pilot also Kevin Conroy?
Oh, was it? If it was,
Because
I didn't notice. But Kevin Conroy didn't have much to do in
sounded-
this episode, so maybe they did just use him.
And that's the thing, because I know, like, back in the day, like, they'd have to sort of, you do multiple voices. And because he's playing old man Bruce in this one very much felt like it was just like normal Kevin Conroy. Like, he wasn't really doing a voice. It was just his speaking voice. And because it's sort of done through a radio, it's distorted a little bit. But I was like, geez, that sounds like Kevin Conroy, because there's no one credited for playing the second pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that a little bit interesting. And Ethan Embry does a voice in it as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't remember which character. Lee is the character. He might have been was he the one that was getting recruited maybe? But yeah, the voice cast jumped out at me, and the first thing that pricked my ears was that second co-pilot. I'm like, oh, I think that's Kevin Conroy. But yeah, as for the episode itself, like I said, it was kind of middle of the road. Nothing really stood out to me. Like, I got the gist of it pretty quickly. It's like, okay, the Jokers are going to get the ship and go joyriding in it, hence the title. You kind of had that ticking clock element to it with the nuclear reactor. Yeah, it was what it was. Like, nothing major happened in this episode. This is, if it was like a 23 episode CW show or, weekly drama, whatever, this is very much be what you'd call a filler episode. Like, there's not much to it, really, other than like a kind of semi-cool premise, but not much else. So, yeah, it was all right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly in line with you. I think I might have liked it a little bit more. I liked how unique it was. I liked that it was, like, as we said, sort of in real time of like, oh, there's this inciting incident where the Jokers get a hold of this experimental ship, and now the rest of the episode is just them trying to get it back. I just liked that it was sort of a very self-contained story and, a race against time. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked, it was sort of random, but in a good way, that Batman teams up with this other scientist who is voiced by Wendy Malick. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite one it's not my favorite one ever. I certainly missed Bruce Wayne in it because he just gets like one quick shot where Terry calls him and tells him what's happening, but that's it. So I missed that a little bit, but I liked that it was a little bit different. I thought it was entertaining. Like the other ones that we've talked about, though, the ending is always so abrupt.
Yes. I was just thinking that while you were talking, like, oh, I forgot to mention the ending. But not even just is it abrupt. It's like this Joker guy has stolen this military prototype with a nuclear accelerator thing in it. He crashes it, tries to kill Batman, and then after the ship crashes and Batman's disabled the nuclear thing, he just leaves him there. Like, doesn't arrest him, doesn't put cuffs on him or anything. Batman just walks out of the ship. This Joker guy at the time is like knocked out on the ground. He wakes up like pretty much as Batman's leaving. Batman just F's off. It's like,
well,
what the
isn't
hell?
he unconscious or something? Like, the police will come.
And then it's like this guy realizes the ship's screwed. He has no power. He yells and it just fade to black. That's it.
Yeah, the show's never very interested in wrapping things up at the end. It just sort of ends. But
No.
So, yeah, I thought it was all right. I liked it well enough for what it is. And again, I think what I liked most about it was I thought it was a fun concept for an episode.
That I can agree with.
All right, what's your letter grade?
I think honestly I just have to go middle of the road, I think, just to see.
All right. I would give it a B- for Joyride. So the next one we are going to do, whenever we're going to do it, I don't know, is Lost Soul, Season 2, Episode 4. Cool. All right, well, now let's move forward and check in with you, all our friends, as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
And this was really the whole point of the episode, is I just needed to clean out the mailbox. But turns out...
Yeah, I imagine after the last 2 weeks, there's going to be quite a few in there.
And it's only going to get worse, but that's fine. All right, so first one here. This one is for Jamie, but I'm going to read it, and then Jamie can choose to respond or not when he gets a chance. But this one is from Christopher Mendoza. It says, Jamie's always been a little grumpy, but listening to him recite a men's rights talking point was really disheartening on your Birds of Prey review. Jamie really needs to shift his perspective. As a minority living in the U.S., Jamie, being who he is, asking for more representation in this movie, in this country, is really disheartening. Do you know how many movies are representative of me, let alone my sister? Renee Montoya may be the only Latina lead in a superhero movie. It's not just selfish, it's disappointing. So that's a big one. So I'll let Jamie respond to that. But a few people, let's just say that was something I couldn't disagree with Jamie more on when it came to that movie. And a couple of people noticed on the episode being like, yeah, I could just feel Andy slowly sinking in his seat when Jamie went down that road. And yeah, that's kind of what happened. But Christopher, thank you for sharing your perspective. And I will say, like, I had a conversation just a few days ago, not about that movie, but just about another movie where I was like, listen, I'm one of those people that I am all about representation. I will never look at representation as a bad thing. And I think that's part of what, like, why I love the CW DC universe so much is, like, I think they're doing it the most effectively and the most, like, what's the right word? The most naturally, where it's just like everybody is part of the party. You know, no matter where you're from, what your background, what your race, what your sexual orientation, like the CW DC universe just has everyone there. And I love that about it because I just think it's so important, you know. Men and women, gay and straight and bi and trans and black and white and Hispanic and Asian. Like, they just have everybody. And I just think that that's great.
You know what's funny is, like, I don't notice stuff like that. And when I say like that, I mean, you know, the fact that Jamie pointed out that in Birds of Prey, there is not one male character in that movie who is good. They're either evil or they screw Harley over in some regard. Aside from Sal, who makes the egg sandwich, which I wanted to point out to Jamie during that episode. Sal's the bloody champion.
I did, though. I eventually got there. Remember at the end? I did get there because I didn't think about it at first, but then we were talking and I went, wait a minute. The guy who makes the sandwich, he didn't do anything wrong. And Jamie was like, yeah, I guess.
But, like, I mean, it's true. Every male in that movie is either a villain or some kind of scumbag or asshole. But watching the movie, I don't notice that. And it's only when I hear people talk after the fact that I go, huh, yeah, it's actually true. But whilst watching the movie, I don't notice and I don't care because that's the story they're telling. And it is very much from a female point of view. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much, but like I will say, there was a terrible, terrible tragedy that happened in my city this week that has rocked the country. And let's just say it involves a very heinous act, you know, this is followed on from years of domestic violence. Perpetrated at the hands of a male.
I saw that. Holy shit.
Mate,
oh my God.
Terrible. Yeah. And that actually happened. It's only a couple of suburbs over from where I live. But anyway, the media, and there's a lot of attention that's been brought onto males and violence in Australia in the last 4 or 5 days. And I understand why, because I know that the percentages when it comes to domestic violence and stuff like that, sadly, the majority of them are male. But every single news story and conversation that you hear people having in the past couple of days has been solely aimed at men. And I do find that disheartening. And I even said it to Jess this morning. It's like they need to stop saying men and saying people, because yes, I get the percentage is more for men, but it's not always just men. And as a man who is a good man, I hope, and I would never do anything like that, it does kind of piss me off that it's like, no, I don't want to be pulled into that, conversation purely because of my gender. But yes, I mean, I get it, but like, I don't want to say I agree with Jamie with what he was saying that day, because I'm not having a go at Jamie here either, but please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But part of me kind of understood what he was trying to say, because yeah, every male in that movie is either a villain or an asshole. And as a male who is good, I don't like it when every portrayal of a male is bad, because we're not all bad. We're not all sexist. We're not all homophobic. We're not all abusers. And I don't like it when it comes across that we are. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, but you're getting uncomfortably close to the line that Jamie was on.
I know. I know. And that's,
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say.
It's really hard to verbalize. I hope you know what I'm...
I know what you're getting at. Here's where I stand. Number one, I went and saw Birds of Prey. I had a great time with it. Never once did it dawn on me that there wasn't a good man in the movie. Didn't even cross my mind. And then it was brought up after the fact, and I went, oh yeah, I guess that's true. But do you know why I didn't care? Do you know why it didn't bother me? Because all of the men in that movie, I didn't relate to any of them. I didn't see myself in any of them, so I didn't take it personally. I was they're not talking about me. That ain't me. I don't do that. They're not talking about me, so I'm good. I will also say Birds of Prey is one movie. We have countless movies where the white man gets to be the hero. We got plenty of those. So the fact that this one movie, Birds of Prey, doesn't have a white man who's a hero, who gives a fuck? We have 8 million where the white man gets to be the hero. Guess what? This one, that ain't this movie. It's fine.
Yeah. That's probably more what I'm trying to say. I couldn't find the words, but I know that you know what I'm trying to say, and I hope I didn't. What I'm trying to say didn't get misinterpreted, because I am very much more on your side of the fence. But it's just particularly here in Australia this week, it's just something that has been very on topic. Is just like there's a lot of slandering going on. It's like, hey, there are a lot of good people out there too.
Yeah.
I guess is my point. Right.
Well, I get your point, which is like if someone says, all men are violent abusers, you're going to go, wait, no, they're not. But I don't think that's what this movie is saying, but I understand that.
No.
Anyway. Let's move forward. This is from Carl Fustin. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family. This one's for you, Brendan. It says, could Roger Moore have been a great Batman and Bruce Wayne? I feel like, didn't we just get one about Timothy Dalton? Are we just going to go through all the Bonds?
I think so.
Okay. Could Roger Moore have been a great Batman and Bruce Wayne? And your top 5 Bond villains. I have no opinion on this. So, Brendan, that's on you.
Oh, God. Could he have been... I mean, look, he had the build for it, and he was a handsome... SOB. I think if it was maybe a little more 60s, 66 Batman tongue-in-cheek, maybe. But I will just say, I'll go through them quickly because I know we'll probably get future emails. Connery, do I think he would have been? No. Lazenby? Actually, yeah. More, like I just said, for the 60s, sort of more tongue-in-cheek take, yeah. Dalton, yes. Brosnan, definitely. I could have seen him as sort of even in the 90s when he was playing Bond, like he would have been...
Oh, yeah. I could totally see that.
He would have been great. And Craig? Don't know.
Maybe.
It's more sort of a build and stature thing, but probably 60-40, leaning towards no. Top 5 villains, I'd have to think about it, but off the top of my head... Really like Alec Trevelyan from GoldenEye. I mean, Blofeld overall, like not one specific variation of the character, but kind of like the overall spiritual, I guess, embodiment of Blofeld. I like that character. I know she's technically a henchwoman, but I've got to put Xenia Onatopp in there as well because that is still a way I'd love to die. Was getting squashed between Femke Jensen's thighs.
I was going to say Xenia Onatopp, but also because I only know a few. And I was also going to say Alan Cumming. Yeah. I forget. I don't know his... I am invincible. I like him.
Boris Glishenkov.
Okay, yeah.
And I like Javier Bardem was really good in Skyfall. One more. I'm just trying to think. I mean, Red Grant was pretty good in From Russia with Love. Like, again, I'd really need to sit down because there's like nearly 25 movies with multiple villains, if you're including henchmen as well. Like, that's going to take some thinking and some pen to paper.
That's fine. We gave him plenty of options. Moving forward, next message is from Josh Green. It says, "Hey guys, I hope all's well. I've been thinking lately about The Flash, specifically on TV and with the movie coming in 2022. Especially with Arrow ending, I think it's possible that The Flash could be next. Arrow ran for 8 seasons, and when The Flash comes out in 2022, the TV show will be its 8th season as well. With all the issues that The Flash movie's gone through, I think it's possible the popularity of the TV show has caused some hesitancy from WB. I'm not saying that the reason that the Flash movie hasn't come out yet is because of the show, but I think it could be part of the conversation. We all know the development hell that Flash has gone through. Ezra Miller showing up on The Flash, I think, is just part of the plan. Anyways, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about the conspiracy theory. I love the show. Take care, Josh." Thank you, Josh. What do you think, Brendan? How much do you think the Flash TV show has to do with the movie?
Very little, and using Arrow as an example, I think if Grant Gustin were to come in next week and say, "Hey, I want next season to be my last season," that's the only way that show's going to end, because Arrow ended because of Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell had enough. He didn't want to come back for this last season at all. And, you know, they sort of said, "Well, look, how about we do like a short season and we give you like a full-on, you know, ending," and that's what happened.
And we give you 14 death scenes in Crisis.
Yeah, like that's just how it is. I mean, Stephen Amell wanted to move on. Like, he'd put his body through hell for almost a decade. He was living away from home for, 9-10 months out of the year for almost a decade. It was he just wanted to be with his family, and he'd had enough of that character. So, I mean, I get it. If Grant Gustin were to come in, like I said, it's all going to depend on the characters, particularly Gustin, because unlike Arrow, as much as they're probably going to try and do this spin-off, you can't really have a Flash show without the Flash, I guess. I mean, I know there's Flashes.
You could, because there's like 15 other speedsters in and around that show.
Could, but I just don't think you'd want to.
But
I certainly wouldn't want to watch it. Let's put it that way, because I have. If Green Arrow and Canaries does get greenlit and taken a series, I'm not watching it. I just don't care.
I will say, I think you have a very valid point, is that it might be wrapping up right around the time the movie's going to come out. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I have seen fans think that the TV show is somehow a speed bump or a roadblock for the movie, and I just don't think that's true. I just don't, because the audience for the show, it's popular for the CW, but it is nowhere nearly big enough to have an effect on what a big blockbuster movie would have.
It's not like an NCIS or, some, I don't know, just trying to think of huge commercial television shows these days.
Like, The Flash averages about 1 million viewers a week. Okay? So in America, let's say if that's your audience that's like, "Oh, this is my Flash and I won't go see the movie," that's $15 million of your box office, which is nothing. So I just don't think it has that big of an effect. I think that the audience for the Flash TV show, while loyal, and the show is again popular for the CW, it's just not big enough, I think, to hold any real sway over the movie. I think that the movie has had its struggles independent of what the show is. All right, moving forward. This is from Aaron Chavez. It says, "Hey guys, I can't say that I'm surprised that Birds of Prey has had lower box office. I have little interest in seeing it, let alone in theaters. I'm sure I'll eventually see it on demand. My desire is similar to Shazam. I waited a few months after it was available to rent, and I liked it fine, but I typically don't care for Shazam anyway. Being a DC guy, I wish it was doing better, but being rated R hurts it. The marketing was 90% Harley, so there's no confusion as to who's the star, but people may be thinking no Joker, no Batman, no me. Logan, Joker, and Deadpool were rated R, but they were known commodities. Guardians of the Galaxy was B-list, but was not rated R, and that did well. It's not a male-female thing. Birds of Prey is at best a B-level team. I like Black Mask and Ewan McGregor, but once I heard they cast a big-name actor, I knew he would be Black Mask in name only until the end of the movie. Those are my thoughts. Thanks, guys. Aaron. All right, Aaron, thank you for your thoughts. I don't know really what to say other than I will say I think calling Deadpool a known commodity. Yeah, go see it. Number one, you're only cheating yourself. Number two, Deadpool, I would not call Deadpool a known commodity until that movie came out. He was a cult character at best until that movie came out. So I don't think that explanation really holds up. Logan and Joker for sure. But I will say your overall point, and it's something that we talked about with Brendan and even with Jamie, is for being a DC fan, there was something about this movie that just wasn't getting a lot of DC fans excited, including Brendan and Jamie. So it sounds like you are in that boat as well. So there was something that just wasn't speaking to a large group of the audience.
I will say too, even though the trailers didn't do much for me, I was always going to go and see it because I'm a DC fan. It's like, if you're a DC fan and your email's like saying that the box office isn't doing well and everything and you haven't gone and seen it, sure, it's like the price of one ticket. It's not going to change the world, but support your home team, man. Like, just go and check it out. It's 90 minutes in a cinema. It's not going to... I guarantee you'll enjoy at least something or some part of that movie. It's worth your $10.
Especially because it's a pretty darn good movie. So...
yeah.
All right, next message is from Michael Murphy. It says, hey guys, do you think that Robin will be used at some point in the Matt Reeves trilogy? Michael, thank you for asking. And you know what? Like a month ago, I would have said, yeah. Now I'm not so sure. I would love it. But yeah, all of my expectations have been thrown up in the air, and I'm trying to scramble to figure out where that lies. So I sure hope so. Brendan?
I really hope so, but Christ, I'm dreading seeing the costume.
Yeah. They already nailed the costume on Titans. Just do that.
They have. Yes, they have.
Both of them. 2 Robin costumes. Nailed them both. Mm-hmm. All right, next message is from Condor Zolander. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, I don't know if you saw it, but there was an image of Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. If you saw it, what were your thoughts on it? A week ago, maybe 2, there was a leaked image of Kristen Wiig as the Cheetah. It was another one that WB started having taken down and started suspending accounts. And this one was a true leak. This one I don't blame on WB. The set photos today, that one you can kind of blame on them because they should have released something. But this one was a true leak. And because they were so quick to try and get it taken down, I would say it is legit. Brendan, thoughts?
It's a promotional image. Like, it looked like it was designed for either, that'd be on a shirt or a poster you get from, say, Kmart or Walmart or something. Like, she looked like Cheetah. She looked pretty cool.
I think she looks great.
Just based on that image, yeah, she looks pretty cool.
Yep.
Show me more.
I think she looks great. I'm into it. All right. Well, see, okay, so apparently we're psychic because this next message is from Reverend Fraser. It says, hey guys, would Sean Connery have been a great Batman in the 60s? Or even as a Dark Knight Returns version of Batman? Brendan?
See comment from, 3 emails ago?
Yeah. And yeah. All right. Next message is from our pal Philip Barker. This says, hey guys, coming to say hello. Happy New Year. And I want to get your thoughts on HBO Max. Now that we're in the age of streaming our content and WB is launching HBO Max, are any of you guys going to subscribe? Also, what kind of DC content do you think could head there outside of Green Lantern and Strange Adventures? Personally, I'd love to see a miniseries focusing on Vic Sage, The Question, or even more of the Birds of Prey. because Journey Smollett Bell was amazing as Black Canary. What do you think? Always a blast listening, and thank you for being such an inspiration. Your pal, Philip. Aw, thank you, Philip. And yeah, you got a shout out earlier in this episode. Look at that. Because you're part of the family. You're one of our Bat Brothers. So yeah, what do you think, Brendan, as far as DC content on HBO Max?
I don't know because I probably won't have access to it in my country. But you are speaking my language with the Vic Sage question series. I love that character. I've got all the Danny O'Neill run from the 80s. I love him in Justice League Unlimited. I have started but haven't. I'm sort of a few issues behind of the new DC Black Label question series that's out there. Yeah, I'm all about how he has not been brought into the CW shows yet. I will not know. I was gutted, I think it was last year, when Kevin Smith revealed that he had actually been working on a question series that got shit canned. Yeah, I don't care what service it goes to, if it's CW, if it's DC, or if it's HBO Max. I will take a question series. It'd be amazing.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I do think that you'll start to see more DC stuff there. And yeah, I love the idea of using some of the Birds of Prey, if they're not going to get a theatrical sequel, is letting them have some miniseries. I would love to see Journey Smollett Bell in a Black Canary miniseries, or Mary Elizabeth Winstead in a Huntress miniseries. Like, I think that's it. Will I subscribe? Yeah, I probably will. There's a Green Lantern show. I'll probably subscribe. Next message is from Patrick Johnson. It says, hey guys, greetings Andy, Jamie, and especially Brendan.
Oh, hello.
Do you know him? Do you know Patrick Johnson?
Not off the top of my head.
He knows you. It says, just curious to know how excited you are about the new comic miniseries that is coming in April based on Batman the Animated Series. I apologize if it's already been covered, but below is a link with the news. Cheers. Love you guys, Patrick. Oh, that's probably why he said especially Brendan.
Okay, yeah.
So we talked about that 2 episodes ago when we got our first look at Battinson. We also did have a little chat about that comic, but short answer is we are both really psyched. Brendan probably even more than me.
I have had trouble standing up all week because I don't have all the blood in my head like I normally do.
Great. And the fact that April's just around the corner, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, actually, just quickly, before we move on to the next email, something I wanted to mention in the news, but we got sidetracked. The news came out on the official Twitter that Harley Quinn Season 2 is coming in April.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Because Season 1, I just finished Season 1 this morning in bed.
So did I.
And yeah, it ended in a crazy way. So I'm glad I don't have to wait long.
That's very soon, though.
Yeah, that's really quick, which means they just kept rolling.
They've essentially split the season, I would say.
Yeah, right. So that's cool. That's coming soon. But yeah, I really like Season 1.
Yeah, loved it. Still my favorite show that's been on of the original content. It's still my favorite from DC Universe. Love it.
All right, next message is from Grant Ingram. It says, hi guys. First off, I was serious. Howard the Duck is awesome. So yeah, a couple episodes ago, he wrote us about Howard the Duck, and I wasn't sure if he was being funny. I guess not. I guess he really just loves Howard the Duck. He says, I recently read A Death in the Family. I realized that they called the series A Death in the Family before they had anyone vote about killing Jason Todd. Do you think they still would have killed someone had fans voted to save Jason? If so, who? Thanks, Grant Ingram. What do you think, Brendan?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't think so. Because Jason's mom died already. So, like, I think they could have just said that. But, like, yeah, the whole thing was about Jason lives or Jason dies. I don't think they would have randomly killed someone else if Jason lived. I think the only one on the bubble was Jason Todd. Yeah.
But the whole series arc was called A Death in the Family, wasn't it? That wasn't just sort of like the name they whacked on a trade after the fact, is it?
I think so. I think it was always called A Death in the Family.
Yeah. It's been years since I've read it, so I just can't remember. I have read it a few times, but it's been at least 6 or 7 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah. All right, next message from Michael Petzold. It says, hey, greetings, DC Trinity of Holy BatCast. Oh, that's us. I I wanted to share my thoughts about the reveal of the Batsuit, kind of. From what we've seen, I'm really liking it. I immediately thought of Arkham Knight in terms of design. However, I never put together this symbol could be made of Joe Chill's gun. Although I think that would be an interesting choice and I'd be all for it, I'm 99% convinced that it's not the case. As for the cowl, I don't really have a problem with it, but I understand your thoughts and I can't argue against your opinions. All in all, I'll make full judgment once we see the whole thing from head to toe. Yeah, you and me both, Michael. You and me both. As for my question, what Batman villains that are on the lower tier that are often forgotten do you really enjoy? I have a big soft spot for Dr. Hugo Strange since he's one of the original Batman villains even before the Joker. Another one I have a huge spot for is Bane, thanks to Tom Hardy's portrayal and what the character is known for. He quickly rose up in the ranks amongst my favorite Batman villains. Anyway, sorry for the long-winded email. I can't wait to hear from you, and I look forward to every new episode. It's what keeps me going during my graveyard shift, and it makes the night that much more tolerable. Thanks, and keep the signal shining bright, Michael Petzel. Thank you, Michael, and I'm glad we can keep you company on your graveyard shift. So hopefully you're listening to this and working hard, making those dollars. So a lower tier Bat villain that you have a soft spot for, Brendan.
This is, I will answer that question, but it just reminded me of, speaking of lower tier Batman villains, did you see that it was only a week or two ago there was a story that they've actually brought Dr. Daka into comics for the first time? Yeah. After we reviewed that serial last year, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, that's crazy. Because we had even said that. We're like, more people should have used him. Yeah.
Yeah. Lower tier Batman. For some reason, my mind keeps saying ventriloquist, but I don't know if I want that to be my answer. I just keep going through, and I'm sort of like, are they lower tier, the ones that I'm thinking of? Like, I mean, I like it. I do like the stories where it is like Batman against, say, like a Carmine Falcone or something like that, where, I mean, to people like us, you wouldn't call him an A-grade villain, but like, you know, to the average Joe, like, they probably wouldn't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't even really call Riddler like, because he's definitely not lesser known, but he's just, I think Riddler too, because he just doesn't seem to get used that often. Sort of looking at my comic shelf now, trying to think.
Well, for some reason, I've always liked Magpie. Not because I think she's a great character, but just because she was the villain in one of the very first Batman comics I owned, and so I always just liked her because of that. And I loved 80s version of Magpie, where she had the big 80s sunglasses and the hair that looked like a bird. Like, so again, I don't think she's amazing, but I still have a soft spot for her, and so whenever she does pop up, it makes me happy. And then I feel like I've answered this in a way in the past, but King Tut. I wish King Tut would get used in the comics. Like, you know, play down the campy parts of the character and make, you know, and amp up some of the scarier Egyptian parts. And I think he could be a great villain, but people don't really use him, and I think they could.
Yeah. He was in that comic run in like 2007, 2008. I can't remember what the series was called. It was kind of that out of continuity Batman series where they just... Yeah, you know the one I mean. They actually used Riddler quite a bit in that too.
And I feel like that was the only time anyone tried to use him in the comics. And he looked cool.
The first time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looked cool. Egyptian. So I was like, come on, let's do that. I'd be into that.
I will actually say Scarface, but I liked when Paul Dini was doing Detective, and the way he kind of reintroduced Scarface, how it was the female was the ventriloquist. I can't remember how she came into it or what her name was, but yeah, it was a female ventriloquist and using the Scarface dummy.
I don't remember that at all.
I kind of liked Scarface in like that version of the whole split personality thing, like just a bit of a different take on it. Like, it's so goofy, but again, using Batman the Animated Series as an example, it kind of works if you do it right.
Mm-hmm. I've never been a
technically
fan,
should-
so you're on your own. I've never been a fan.
Yeah.
I think that's always been my issue. Is I'm like, he's so easy to defeat. It's just an old man. You just smack him upside the head, take the puppet away, and throw him in a box. Like there's nothing intimidating or scary about him. Batman should be able to take him out with his eyes closed.
I guess it's kind of like a Falcone, I guess, in terms of like, it's an old guy, whereas he doesn't have the physicality, but he's got the brain power to be the criminal genius. I don't know. It's probably not totally my answer. It's just for some reason Scarface just keeps coming into my mind at the moment. It's all I can think of.
I mean, I know he has his fans because whenever I've said I'm not a fan, I'll get an email telling me why I should like him. So,
I mean, the Terrible Trio, done right, they're kind of cool as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move forward. This is from Michael Murphy. It says, hey guys, do you think we'll ever see the Nightwing movie that Chris McKay was supposed to direct? I personally think it's not happening, although I would love to see a Nightwing movie someday. Michael, thank you, and same. I completely agree. I think that movie's dead in the water, which makes me sad because I would love a Nightwing movie. Maybe now that Dan Didio's gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening, but I certainly want to see one day. Or, hey, HBO Max, just do it on there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, spin off Brenton Thwaites into a Nightwing solo miniseries or something. Or a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because he's so great. All right, next message is from John Mercado. It says, hey, Bat Family. This is my first time sending an email. I started listening in late 2019, and I've been listening to past episodes. I was wondering when you guys might do another commentary episode. I know the 25th anniversary of Batman Forever is coming up. Any chance that you, Jamie, and Brendan would do an episode? Because it would be a lot of fun. By the way, I agree with you about the tease of Robert Pattinson. I want more. I'm not hating or loving it right now. Thanks, John. Thank you, John, and thank you for finally pulling the trigger and sending us an email. Welcome to the party. A Batman Forever commentary episode. I want to say yes, but I also want to stay friends with Brendan.
It would be an interesting experiment, I think.
It could be the death of us.
The death of the family. Yeah, I think it would be... I'm definitely down for giving it a shot. I just think we'd both have to have an open mind.
Well, if you want the Batman Forever commentary, here's what I would say. I would say just listen to the Batman and Robin
I know what you're going to say.
Because it's the same fucking movie.
Sync it up beat for beat, yeah. Hey, look, that I can't argue with.
Maybe. But yeah, the commentary ones are fun. And so, yeah, I mean, we should do more.
Hey, Jeremy Lloyd sent me a Batboat model this week. Did you see that?
I did see that. Nice.
Is it
like disassembled?
Yeah, like it's sealed in the box.
Oh, wow.
So that's what he said. Are you going to open it or build it? I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, well,
maybe. Yeah, listeners, give me some advice on that. Like,
I say build it. Like, if a model is in a box, is it even a model? Why wouldn't you build it?
That's true. Yeah, I just need to find the time. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Nice little.
Biggest problem.
I said, for someone who takes the piss out of me for liking Batman Forever, he's certainly an enabler. As are you.
Well, you know. All right, next message is, it's Stuart from Guernsey. It says, happy 6th birthday. It says, this month is actually my 5th anniversary with you guys. You're my number one podcast. You've been there through good times and bad. You're like a comfort food when I'm having a shit day. You were even there on the road when I was rushing to the hospital when my daughter was born. Here's to another 6 years and more. Happy birthday, Bat Fam. Even the down under. Yeah. Also, I listened back to your first episode probably more than any episode, as it's just two Bat geeks geeking out to anything Batman. It's not bad, so you should listen back to it, Andy. I hope things are not too stressful for you at the moment in regards to China. Stuart. Thank you as always, Stuart. We love having you as part of the family. And happy anniversary to you too. I mean, as I've said in the past, yeah, I mean, like it's the situation in China is crazy right now, and we're just taking it as it comes, and I'm just grateful that I am somewhere safe while we wait for that out. So thanks for the message. All right, next message is from Frank.
I guess from my point of view.
Next message is from Franklin Gnosis. It says, "Hey Andy and Brendan. As big a Batman fan I am, like Brendan, I'm also a big 007 fan. Recently, I realized that the James Bond and comic book superhero movies have something in common, and that is that some actors played a huge role in both of these genres. For example, Kim Basinger was a Bond girl and a Batman love interest. Terry Hatcher was a Bond girl and Lois Lane. Famke Johnson was a Bond girl and also Jean Grey in X-Men, and Halle Berry was an X-Man and a Bond girl. Even Bond villains like Christopher Walken were in Batman movies, and Vincent Schiavelli, who were in both too. My question is this: since this is Daniel Craig's last outing as 007, would you want to see him be a character in a superhero movie, and which one? I personally think he could be a good villain and play a Mr. Freeze in a Batman movie. Anyway, take care. Sorry for the long email. Franklin Gnosis." Thanks, Franklin. Very true. Great observations overall. And honestly, like, I feel like even if you hadn't said it, I would have said Daniel Craig for Mr. Freeze too.
And like we said back when we recorded the episode about the Batman serial we did, Lewis Wilson, who was the first ever live actor to play live action Batman, his dad, his son is Michael G. Wilson, who is the producer of the Bond movies. So there's a really big connection there going way, way back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we were just talking about it, but Daniel Craig would kind of be a pretty cool Vic Sage.
Oh, like, yeah.
If you did like an R-rated, like, you know, DC Universe style violence version of The Question, where he can just cut sick, I could see him doing that too, like just being a real badass.
No, I think that's a good call. He's a great actor. There are a lot of things he could play. The other one that comes to mind, maybe Two-Face, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd pretty much give him a shot with no matter what. So, all right, next message is from Marcio Juarez. It says, "Hey, Bat Family, thank you as usual for all the work you put into the podcast. It's greatly appreciated, especially as I lack fellow DC geeks near me, and I feel like talking with friends when I'm listening in." Like we said earlier, Brendan. It said, "The episode gaps that sometimes happen offer the chance to revisit old episodes and watch past films. During this last gap, I listened to the infamous, for being Brendan's first episode, Batman Under the Red Hood review episode. It's probably my favorite Batman film, and I realized it turns 10 years old this year. Any plans to revisit it? I'd love to hear Jamie's comments on it. Maybe a commentary track. Just an idea. Finally, odd question. You finish every person, but I think he means every podcast. You finish every podcast with a great Michael Keaton impression quote. What is your favorite Batman quote, and which Batman is your best Batman impression? Can we hear it? Keep up the good work, all. Marcio, a Peruvian in England." Thanks, Marcio. Okay, so when he said that I finish every episode with a great Michael Keaton impression, he has great in quotes, which like maybe implies it's not great, which hurts my feelings a little bit. Okay, so revisiting Under the Red Hood, maybe that's the one we do commentary on, because that one I think we could agree on.
That's before he even said maybe a commentary track. I was just like, oh, 10th anniversary, maybe we should do a commentary on that one.
Oh, because, did you really think of that?
Yeah, like when he said 10th anniversary of Under the Red Hood, before he said maybe do a commentary, my brain instantly went, oh, that could be the one we do a commentary on.
Well, there you go. That's not a bad idea. I'm okay with that.
And the other thing I've thought of as well is for a little-known Batman villain, I guess before Birds of Prey, I probably would have said Black Mask.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, because of the version in that movie as well as the Batman animated series, because he was awesome in that cartoon.
Yeah, good call.
No, I'd definitely be down to do a commentary on that, particularly because Jamie hasn't spoken on it, you know?
That's true.
Be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
And it's not a big time commitment, either of those movies.
Yeah, they're pretty short.
It's just trying to work out a time for it now.
That's always the trick. It's always the darn scheduling.
But I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
It has been a little while for me too. I'm trying to think of, I mean, not like years, because I feel like I revisited it like within the past 2 years. I feel like I did, because I will go in and go, oh, what haven't I watched in a while? I feel like some Batman, but not one of the biggies. And then I'll do that. Because like just last week, I revisited Dark Knight Returns, just because I was like, you know what? I don't think I've watched this since it's come out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, let me watch that. And so, just randomly, it's been fun.
Nice. I'll be honest and say I don't really have an impression. I mean, I guess anyone could probably do a really bad Christian Bale Dark Knight Rises. Where's the trigger? I guess. But as for my favorite Batman line, it's the cliche, I'm Batman, but it's from Batman Begins. Like, I still, to this day, how long is it? What, 15 years since that movie came out? Holy shit. Is it that long? Yeah, it'd have to be. I really, really like his take on that line. I still, after all this time, get like really excited when that doc scene is coming up. I love it. I love that line reading of the I'm Batman.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, and again, I feel like I've answered this in the past, but one of my favorite Batman, I mean, it's probably my favorite Batman moment is the end of Batman Begins when he says, and you'll never have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was going to say like my Michael Keaton impression might be okay because it's more subdued, but because you put quotes around it, maybe it's not so good. I don't know. But I can do a spot on Val Kilmer as Batman.
Oh, great. Okay.
As Batman, okay? Here we go. Here's Val Kilmer as Batman. Then it will happen this way. You make the kill, but your pain doesn't die with Harvey. It grows. So you run into the night to find another face and another and another until one terrible morning you wake up and realize that revenge has become your whole life and you won't know why. Thank you.
You know what's funny?
Thank you.
You know what's amazing is you remember that line better than I do.
I pulled it up.
Oh, did you?
I definitely did, yes. Because I was trying to, because I think the worst version of that is when he's, but I can't remember the line where he's like, I fell. I was afraid at first, but only at first.
Oh yeah, when he's with Chase reliving the flashback.
That was the quote I was trying to find, where it's like, oh yeah, are you just doing a rehearsal? What's going on, man? What's going on?
The easiest one would be George Clooney, because it's literally just, hi Freeze, I'm Batman.
Hi Freeze.
Like there's no voice at all.
Okay, all right, next message. Okay, this is a big one. I can't read the whole thing. It's from Patrick Johnson. It's he wrote me a novel. That was nice of Patrick. He's very so I was expecting this after the Birds of Prey review. This says, hey Bat Gang, this email is in response to a section of your review for Birds of Prey. During the episode, Andy dismissed Cassandra Cain as being insignificant in the realm of DC history. Andy referred to Cass as a minor character and even posed the question, who really cares about Cassandra Cain? While I can't speak for everyone, I can say that I care about Cassandra Cain tremendously, and so does my wife. We think Cass is one of the most original characters ever written, especially concerning her origin story. And then he writes pages on pages and pages of Cassandra Cain history. I'm not reading the whole thing. I was expecting this. I knew that because, again, that was my whole point in the episode is I'm like, I didn't know that all these people were going to get up in arms about Cassandra Cain. And so the fact that I said that, I was like, oh, and now I'm going to spark those people to write me and tell me why I'm wrong about why Cassandra Cain is the best thing ever. So I know she's got her fans. I'll just say that, Patrick. I appreciate that you think she's the best character in all of the DC comics. great. I just will say she is a character who's never really made it into other media. So that I think is usually a good indicator as to what kind of traction a character gets in pop culture. And so my point was more like, it's not like they're changing Batman. They're changing Cassandra Cain. I feel like Cassandra Cain, you can play around with a little bit. It's okay. And the one point I did make in that episode, which I hope people heard, was in the movie, there's no reason that Cassandra Cain cannot become the Cassandra Cain from the comics. They left purposefully. They left a lot of ambiguity around the character so that way she could still be that Cassandra Cain. So yeah,
I don't disagree.
So, Patrick, I'm sorry if I offended you that I was not a big Cassandra Cain. And again, I like Cassandra Cain in the comics. I like her just fine. I just didn't know I didn't know why that was the hill that certain fans were dying on with the movie. I guess that was my point.
Geez, you and Jamie managed to piss off a lot of people in that episode. Glad I wasn't on it.
Yeah. It happens.
I felt disappointed I wasn't on there, but now I'm just like, Jesus, I dodged a bullet.
Well,
Who would have I pissed off?
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's the other thing is for a really fun, entertaining comic book action-packed movie like Birds of Prey, I don't know why people got so up in arms about it for whatever reason. Whether it's, there weren't enough positive male role models in it they changed Cassandra Cain. I'm like, guys, it's a Harley Quinn movie. Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Why can't we enjoy it? Why are we getting all mad? You're just gonna be quiet. You're just gonna sit there. You're just gonna let me.
I'm just gonna.
You want no part of it. You want no part of it. That's fine.
No, I'm washing my hands of this whole show. I'm Pontius piloting you.
Okay. Next message from Willis Orr. It says, "Hey, Bat Family. Why does Tim Burton get criticized for Batman Returns but gets a lot of praise for Batman '89?" Willis, thanks for the message. What do you think, Brendan?
I think probably because Batman Returns is much more Tim Burton than it is Batman '89. Batman Returns is a full-on Tim Burton Batman movie. He had the reins on him a lot more in Batman '89. And as we all know, the only reason he chose to come back is because they said, this is on you. You've got creative control. So I think that's 100% the reason why.
I mean, yes. I mean, if you just watch the movies, it makes sense. Batman '89 is a lot more of a crowd-pleasing superhero movie hit. Batman Returns is totally weird. That's why I love Batman Returns. But yeah, when you go that weird, you're going to turn off a lot more people. Batman '89 is a little more crowd-pleasing for everyone. And Returns, they let Tim Burton get weird, and he got weird. And I think that, you're not going to please everybody that way. Next message is from Major Lee. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast team, what's the difference between Batman casting... What? Between Batman casting and James Bond casting? This isn't a Bond podcast, guys. It says, if it's Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and now Robert Pattinson, I still hear plenty of people say that Michael Keaton is their favorite Batman. But when it comes to James Bond, a lot of people say Daniel Craig is now their favorite. I don't hear a lot of people say that Sean Connery, Roger Moore, or Pierce Brosnan is their favorite. But I'd like to hear your thoughts." Major, thank you for the message. What do you think, Brendan? Do you think people are more accepting of a new Bond than a new Batman?
Definitely not. I think he needs to pay more attention to Bond fandom because a lot of people say Connery is the best. A lot of people say that. I think whoever is the first actor, it's the same reason why people always say Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. The proof is the fact that I have to quantify my next statement by saying, I know this is probably going to get me crucified, but I don't think Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. I think Henry Cavill is. But general consensus is that it's Christopher Reeve. General consensus for Batman is that it's Michael Keaton. That's just how it is because they were the first ones. They'll always everybody else who's followed on from there is in some way, shape, or form, not copy, but you know what I mean? Like, they've got to follow on from that actor. They're the starting point. But in saying that as well, like, I find that there's plenty of people that it is a little bit different with Bond, I guess, because as much as the majority say, it's Sean Connery, I do hear the odd person go with Roger Moore. A lot of people my age will say Pierce Brosnan, because that's the character. That Brosnan is the version that brought them into the character. And I think it's the same for Daniel Craig, because Casino Royale was such a well-made movie. Like, and the word of mouth on that movie was so positive. I know, just in my life, there were so many people, who I worked with or just kind of knew in general, who had never seen a Bond movie in their life. And when Casino Royale came out and the word of mouth spread, they were going to see that movie, and they loved it. And they have seen every Bond movie since then because of that film. So I think it's either you love the first, or you love the version that brings you into that character. And I guess it could be similar for Batman. Like, I know a lot of people who say Christian Bale, but general consensus is it's Michael Keaton, because he was the first one there. I think being first has a lot to do with it.
I think so too, and I think that makes sense. But what's funny is I do think that it's funny. I think that the reactions and the fans' reactions to both Bond and Batman are very similar. Like, there's always an initial resistance to the new Bond or the new Batman, because you're used to, you want what's comfortable. And then eventually you kind of get used to it. You're okay with it. You go see the movie and you go, oh, actually they were really good. And I feel like that's pretty true. Because, like, yes, everybody's got their sentimental favorites, and that makes sense. But, like, most Batman fans you're going to talk to will tell you Adam West was a great Batman, Michael Keaton was a great Batman, Christian Bale was a great Batman, and Ben Affleck was a great Batman. Most people are going to tell you that. Sure, there's going to be a little variation. Just like Bond fans, most people are going to tell you Sean Connery was a great Bond, Roger Moore was a great Bond. I feel like the true fans of both of those franchises appreciate most of the actors who played those roles, and even the ones that were less popular in hindsight, like a Timothy Dalton for Bond, or a Val Kilmer or George Clooney for Batman. Even those, like, at the time, the movie still did well. Audiences were still willing to roll with it.
I think too, a lot of it. I think some people may have forgotten what it's like to get a new Bond, because Daniel Craig.
It's been a while now.
He's only done. That's the thing. He's only done 5 movies. Connery did 6, and Moore did 7. So they've still got more movies under their belt. But in terms of time being that character, Craig is now the longest. He has had that role longer than any other actor who's played Bond.
Even Connery?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I thought Connery did it, like, till he was an old man.
Well, I mean, look, he left in the early 70s. And then that's when Roger Moore took over. He came back in 1983 to do the unofficial Never Say Never Again. But that was essentially as an FU to the producers. That's probably where you're thinking that. But yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, technically he was from 62 to 71. And even then you had George Lazenby in sort of, step in for that one movie. So yeah, in terms of time straight with the role, it used to be Roger Moore, and now it's Daniel Craig. He's surpassed Roger Moore. So I guarantee in the next 2 to 3 years, after this new Bond movie comes out and they look to making a new one, you are going to see probably Ben Affleck level of casting, the internet reacting in that same way to to a new Bond, because this will also be the first Bond where social media is it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because back then I don't even know if MySpace was a thing back when Craig was cast. I know it was when Casino Royale came out, but yeah, social media and Twitter and all that kind of stuff, that wasn't a thing back then. And so it's going to be a huge deal when they cast the new Bond. Guarantee it.
Makes sense. All right, this is from Tom Fallows. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, I hope you're well. With the reveal of Robert Pattinson and his Batsuit, how do you think his Batmobile will look? Will it be a tank like Nolan, sleek like Burton, or an epileptic's worst nightmare like Batman Forever? He said that, I didn't. He said, given that Reeves is going for a detective noir type genre for his flicks, what type of genre would you like to see them take the Bat in the future? Horror, thriller, sci-fi? I personally wouldn't mind a globe-trotting adventure like Indiana Jones with Batman against Ra's al Ghul in a Temple of Doom type setting. Anyway, have a great podcast, Tom Fallows. Thank you, Tom. So, first question, Batmobile. How do you picture it? I think that today's look at the cycle gives us a little bit of a clue.
Yeah. Maybe something really stripped back.
I think it's going to be very simplified. A black car with some subtle fins. Like, I think it's going to be very subtle because that's what the cycle is.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. If you'd asked me a month ago, my brain would have gone like, real comic booky with fins and whatever else.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be kind of like either a prototype sports car or something like that with a vague, fin or maybe shield on the front or something. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
very minimalist.
Hopefully we'll see that one soon too. And then talking about genre, one thing I did not mention because we got caught up in other things is that it was Bruce Wayne's birthday and Matt Reeves tweeted out a comic panel from Batman Year One. Did you see that?
I did too. Yes, I did.
And it was a panel where like Batman was having his internal monologue, and a lot of fans think, oh, well, that must mean that he's going to have his internal monologue. And
Jesus Christ.
I mean, maybe, sure, maybe. And then another, what other genre would you like to see Batman play in? Tom, first of all, I will say I love your idea of a globe-trotting adventure with Ra's al Ghul, Temple of Doom. Oh, hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
That's what I was going to say. Take my money. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I will say what I've said in the past is a true horror movie with the Scarecrow would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. My mind, honestly, it just keeps going to Batman the Animated Series. I'm like, I just want that. That's really what I want in live action. Not wanting to sound like a broken record, though. Some kind of globe-trotting detective, almost Bondian style movie would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
That would see Bond go to another country and have to deal with whatever villain doing something, or that'd be, again, it's something we haven't seen before. Maybe take him out of Gotham for a movie or for part of a movie or something. I mean, I guess
he went to Hong Kong. He went to Hong Kong.
But maybe, for more than a scene. I don't know. Some of these questions, I wish we could vet them before the show so I could actually prepare answers.
That's just so much more work. But I know what you mean. I know. Because, you got to think about it. All right, next message is from Muhammad Adil Jafar, and he starts by saying, hey, I thoroughly enjoy your podcast, even with the horrible mispronunciation of my name. So apparently whatever I just said is wrong. I'm sorry, Muhammad. I think Muhammad, that's probably right, but I don't know how I'm supposed to say Adil Jafar. He says, my sister and I burst out laughing when you pronounced it. Well, I'm glad some good came of it. It said, how would you guys feel for the second Batman movie if they just straight up introduced the extended Bat family after a time skip and then we go from there? I think it could be a great idea because Matt Reeves could make a Bat family versus an Arkham prison escape. It'd be insane. The only problem is how to establish these characters and their relationship in the movie's runtime. Also, for a slow day when there's no major news, I think it'd be a cool idea to have each of the hosts bring one guest, like family or friends, to show how the hosts influence their take on Batman. Love from the UAE/India, Muhammad. Thanks, Muhammad. A time jump and the extended Bat family. Brendan?
I'd be down for it.
Go ahead.
Anything that would lead to us getting the Bat family on screen, I'd be down for. And by how you mentioned too about the Arkham movie, I mean, I know that's been mentioned before, and there was plans for it at one point, and even the old Green Arrow movie was that kind of thing. Like a movie like that, talking about different genres before, would be kind of cool. And I know it happened with The Dark Knight Rises, but I don't think the execution was that great. But have like a ticking clock. You know, Batman's in Arkham with the Bat family, and you know, you cycle through a heap of villains, whether it be cameo or whatever, but have like a real ticking clock scenario that they need to work against, and have like a real tense thriller type thing.
I feel like a group of Batman's villains, they should steal like an experimental vehicle and go on a rampage throughout Gotham. And then there's a ticking clock because it's going to explode, and then Batman has to stop him.
Or that vehicle they steal could have like a laser gun that dehydrates people.
Oh, that'd be good.
And there's a ticking clock for having to rehydrate them, otherwise they could be permanently lost.
Great idea. God, why aren't you a writer?
Right?
I'll just say what you said here, Muhammad, about a Bat family versus an Arkham prison escape. Man, like, take my money for that.
Yeah, shit.
That sounds amazing. I don't think it's likely that this is going to happen, but I would have no problem with it because, yeah, I mean, I agree with Brendan. Is we've wanted that Bat family on film for a while now, and if that's a way to do it, I would be all for it. So I like where your head's at, and it'd be nice if Matt Reeves' head is there in the next couple movies. We'll see.
And the third movie, they time jump again, and it's Affleck.
Oh, man. You playing with fire. Okay. Last message. Woo! This one is from Jesse Willis. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family. Could Willem Dafoe play the Joker in Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy? I'm already seeing fans online petition to have him as the Joker." Thanks, Jesse. And Brendan, what do you think about this?
No. I mean, the Willem Dafoe as Joker thing has come up so often. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah,
I think
been
the ship has sailed.
Yeah, it's been a fan cast for the better part of 20 years now, and I get it, but I also think that, yes, I agree, is that he's just, at this point, he's just too old. I think, 25 years ago, he'd have been amazing. Now, I think same. I think the ship has sailed, and it's time for someone else.
If Joaquin Phoenix is too old, then Dafoe's definitely too old.
Yeah. So, that is that. And we're closing the Wayne Manor mailbox. We caught up, Brendan. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there.
Look, anytime.
Well, there you have it. If you've got a question or a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, please send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of the show, which means that because we're going to wrap this up and we're going to have a few days before I release it, it means we're going to get some other huge bombshell in the next few days, and I'm going to be behind forever for the rest of my life. But, oh well, that's the fun of podcasting.
Are we going to get all the emails about the spy pics that were released today?
Exactly, right? But because I just released our Crisis episode today, I don't want to release this tomorrow. People will be like, that's too much. Leave me alone. I haven't even gotten to Crisis yet. Anyway, Brendan, thanks for making the time this weekend. Tell our friends where they can catch up with you.
You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Loey007.
Great. So do that, and everybody send happy birthday messages to Jamie at BatRaider3960. Send him all those Batman memes. I bet he's never seen them. But anyway, yes, give Brendan a follow and say hi to Jamie. He'll be back soon, I'm sure. But that will do it for this episode of Holy BatCast. Thank you, as always, for downloading the show. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review. Tell people about us. Yes, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell your friends about me. Or as Val Kilmer's Batman would say, I want you to tell your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Thank you. Find Holy BatCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. Again, you can send an email to the Wayne Manor mailbox at holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But there you go. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Is that a problem?
Get out. Get out right now.
You saying you want us to just leave it?
Yes, my team will be along for it in 5 minutes.
But
Land right now and get as far away from the vehicle as fast as you can.
I'm telling you, Scab, it was a UFO.
Who cares? We got something more important to do.
Oh, yeah. We do, don't we?
You know why the Jokers come all the way out here to do our initiations?
So no one can hear you scream.